All right, people. Sorry about these technical difficulties. Finally got up and running. Got my boy Stel here. Plug your stuff, Stel. Let's plug it from the start.
Oh,
Introduce
mate.
who you are.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for the kind introduction. Yeah, I host a football internet radio show called Shoot the Defence, where we do shows every week we do them, but we do more than one show sometimes. Yeah, so we've got listeners throughout the world, basically Australia, America, Europe, obviously. We're hosted on the FNX network based in Australia, so we've got a lot of listeners out there. And yeah, we do Premier League reviews, we do European reviews, we've just done European Championships, we've done 4 or 5 review shows of that. We've had people like Rodri Giggs on, Gabriel Marcotti, Leon Knight is very good for us. He does his own show called Night Vision, which does very well. So yeah, we're doing pretty well. We've got good links as well. We've got a link with Montreal Impact MLS, Toronto as well. So yeah, we're growing, and we're just.
So in other words, you're a hell of a lot more professional than I am.
I wouldn't say so, to be honest. Believe me, if you heard the stuff I've had to edit out of shows, you wouldn't believe it, honestly. But yeah.
Yes, editor is in future going to be my very best friend. You are.
Absolutely.
So how does it feel being on enemy turf? Kind of enemy turf. We're not quite Man City, but.
Well, you're not Liverpool for that instance. If you're Liverpool, honestly, I wouldn't give you the time of day. Nice. Listen, it's always a pleasure to talk football with people, regardless of what team they support. And listen, the one thing I've learned in this is that because of social media and the way that the game has evolved, especially since Euro '96 in the UK, you've got a different kind of football fan. You've got a lot of irrational people that you can't really reason with. But you tend to find on Twitter, you do have some bonkers people. At the same time, you do have people that know what they're talking about. And those are the people that you can have conversations with. And especially doing what we do at the moment, it's better to talk to people that when you know what you're talking about, as opposed to not, because you become more credible than not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but trying to find people that talk sense on Twitter, you're going to be hard stretch for that.
Yeah, listen, you've got how many billion people using Twitter? It's like finding a needle in a haystack. But listen, you tend to find that when there's someone that you are having a discussion with that is credible, just look at who they're following, and that's the nature of the beast, so to speak.
Yeah, all right. Well, how did you find the Euros? Like, did you watch any of the Euros?
Yeah. Well, I watched as much as I could. The thing is, because of the kickoff times, it was a bit of a ball ache, really, because you had 2 o'clock kickoffs, you had 5 o'clock kickoffs, and you had 8 o'clock kickoffs. And then 2 o'clock kickoffs.
Someone at work that was understanding.
Exactly. I mean, I was lucky that we had the boardroom, and they basically let us watch the 2 o'clock games there.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Yeah, but we finished at 5:30, so leaving work half an hour into the game was a bit annoying. But to be honest, in terms of the competition itself, I find it quite underwhelming, really. You do get a lot of hype about, this player's going to do well, and it was marked as, Pogba's big stage and Ibrahimovic's last crack at whip, when it came to a major tournament. You got Ronaldo having to step up because you got the Copa America at the same time, and as I said, it was underwhelming. It just seemed that there were a lot of teams wanted to win, and you had a lot of teams that tried to avoid defeat, and that's what made it frustrating. What did you make of it?
I'm going to be honest with you, mate. I didn't watch that much of it.
No,
I only started getting into it once. Weirdly, once England got knocked out, so I watched the Iceland game, and I kind of was just like, sure, typical England, and then I kind of. Weirdly, I started getting into it kind of more towards that stage. And but much like you, I found it really underwhelming. It wasn't really the best match that I can remember was when France won 5-2.
You reckon?
Whatever.
I think the Hungary game against Portugal 3-3 was a
Yeah, that one was a good game. But I only watched that game once I found out the score. I just didn't find it. It's weird for me. I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, when it hits this time of year, regardless of a tournament that's going on, international football doesn't really do it for me. Not really.
You know what?
Follow
Shall I tell you why? I'll tell you why. Because I kind of feel the same way. Put it this way: every week when you're watching the Premier League, you're used to seeing Man United, Arsenal against Spurs, Arsenal against Liverpool, Liverpool against Man United, Man City, and then when you look at these tournaments, there's maybe a handful of teams that you're interested in. I mean, let's be honest. Apart from France, Germany, maybe England, maybe Italy, because they don't have the depth and strength as they used to. There's a handful of teams that you really want to see. Yeah, you've got your standout players, but as I said, Ibrahimovic, he's on his way out. He's 34, 35 years old. You know, you got England, and they're talking about this resurgence, and this young group, and it's the youngest ever average squad. They're poor. They're piss poor. You know, and I've been saying it for ages, but I can talk about England's frailties for hours on end. Honestly. So really, when you look at, when you scratch the surface, and Rio Ferdinand made the good point a few years ago where he said, 1 week we're playing at Anfield, Man United, Liverpool, one of the biggest derbies in Europe. Next week we're going to the Delle Alpi to play Juventus in the Champions League, and in November there's an international friendly in Estonia. I mean, how can people get, if the players can't be interested in it? How can the fans?
I mean, what do you think about Roy Hodgson?
What I think about him? Right.
I know you've been tweeting a lot about it, but I'm just curious, really, just to get a succinct kind of sentence of.
I had a discussion with a avid England fan about Roy Hodgson the other day.
Okay.
And they were saying, oh well, he's gone now, and his methods were archaic, and Big Sam is the man that should take over. I was like, okay, fair enough. I understand where you're coming from, because Sam Allardyce, he's well loved by the supporters, he's well loved by players, he's got a reputation, but what has he actually won? What has he won? He hasn't won anything. And then they went on to say, well, what about Roy Hodgson? I was like, well, hang about. Roy Hodgson managed in Scandinavia. He won trophies out there. He managed in Switzerland. He won trophies out there. He managed in Italy. He did okay. He didn't do great. And then they're like, well, those are budget leagues. I was like, well, if you look at the Premier League, is that not a budget league at the moment? Well, if you think about it, really, with the greatest of respect, if Leicester are winning your league, it tells you a lot about it.
True.
And like I said, I'm not knocking the Premier League, because Leicester deserve to win the title, and they're the best team. The table doesn't lie. But then when you look at all the other teams and the players that they got, and the tactics that they should be implementing, and the history and the aura about everything, where were they? Where were they? So when you talk about Roy Hodgson, okay, fair enough. His tactics are archaic. His methods are pathetic. I mean, when England were playing, I think when they drew with Slovakia, sorry, they drew against Slovakia, and Iceland were playing the next day against Austria. Roy Hodgson was on the promenade in France instead of sitting there researching Iceland. Well, I'm sorry, that tells me that it's a very laid-back mentality, and it's a bit disrespectful to Iceland. Personally, I think he should have gone a long time ago. But then again, when England are doing well in qualifiers and friendlies, everyone's doing cartwheels saying, oh, England have got a great chance of winning the Euros. They beat Germany 3-2 in Germany, and people were saying, oh, they got a great chance. Well, I'm sorry, at 2-0 up in a game that is relevant or is important, Germany are not taking their foot off the gas. They're going to score 3, 4, 5, 6, like they did against Brazil. They put 7 against Brazil. They showed no mercy. This was a friendly. It meant nothing. But yet to the England fans, oh, we came back from 2-0 down against the Germans, 2 World Wars, 1 World Cup, blah, 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 blah. No, that's not how it works. Jamie Vardy isn't going to win you an international tournament. Eric Dyer isn't going to win you. Joe Hart sure as hell ain't going to win you an international tournament. And that was proof right there. So going back to your question about Roy Hodgson, he did what he could with the players that he's got. I just feel sorry for the next guy that goes there, because it's going to be the same old story. Same old story.
Why do you think he stayed on? Because I, like you, I have no idea.
Because he was on $3.5 million a year. Why would he walk? Would you walk?
There's no reason for him to walk, but why wouldn't the FA take some sort of action and say, you know what?
Because they need to pay him out.
Oh man, then the FA, surely they could afford it. If it's Arsenal we're talking about, I know those motherfuckers like saving as much cash as they can possibly get.
Yeah, but don't forget, Arsenal have paid off the stadium. England are still paying off the Wembley debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
What you've got to bear in mind is that Roy Hodgson is a yes man, and that is who at the FA that they want. The FA is the old boys club. Look at people like Trevor Brooking, who's actually at the FA. You've got David Gill there for some reason I don't even know. This is the same guy that said that debt is the road to ruin before the Glazers took over United, and afterwards he's being all nice to him. So really, we're going to trust the future of the FA, or trust the future of English football with this guy, or to the clowns that are in charge? Let's be honest, they don't have a clue what they're doing. They're not football men, they're businessmen at the end of the day. And once again, when they talk about England's failings in European competition or in the international stage, they always blame grassroots. Oh, we need to look at grassroots. Well, yeah, you need to look at grassroots because you're not investing in grassroots. When I hear George Osborne spending, was it 3 billion of taxpayers' money to some project in China when it could have gone to grassroots football, why do you think you're not producing world-class talent?
Mm.
It's a no-brainer. But I digress.
So deep stuff. I quite like it though. I like it. I didn't even think about it like that, but it's so true.
Well, the priorities all over the place, mate. The priorities are all over the place. If you look at Dele Alli, for example, right? He came through at MK Dons. He did fantastic in that season. Mm-hmm. A year later, he joined Spurs. Mm-hmm. Well, what's the difference? What difference did he make in 6 months after joining Spurs? Did he improve that much that he was good enough to play for England? No, he didn't. It's just that he was a quality player that broke through the grassroots level, and he broke through MK Dons, and he got into the Spurs team, and so on and so forth. How many of these players are we producing though? How many?
Yeah.
Tell me. I mean, if you look at that England team, let's say that the team line up against Iceland, how many of those players would make it in the German national team if they were German? Who would? Maybe Daniel Sturridge, because the Germans need a striker, a goal scorer. With Harry Kane, I don't know. I still think he's too young to play at international level. That's my honest opinion. It's all well and good scoring goals against Luxembourg and Latvia in international friendlies and against a half-baked German team, but I don't know. He hasn't done it enough for me at international level. But again, time will tell. And again, I digress. I've got a habit of doing this. Sorry, man.
That's all right. I like it, though. I like it. I didn't even think about it that way. So with that being said, what do you think about the England manager post and the people that are being linked to it?
Well, who are linked to it, first of all? Who have they got there?
Well, I mean, the two favourites. FYI, I find it hilarious that Southgate turned it down. But I thought, blimey, even Southgate doesn't want it.
Gareth Southgate is smart because he knows that if he takes the England job, it's a poison chalice. He was a Middlesbrough manager. He did fairly well with them. And then he just went to pot. Now, whoever's taken over that, I mean, put it this way, look at the last 3 England managers. You had Roy Hodgson. Before that it wasn't McLaren, was it? It was before Roy Hodgson. Before Hodgson. I can't remember. Was it McLaren? I can't remember.
No. Oh my gosh.
See what I mean?
Capello.
It was right. Okay, Fabio Capello. This is the other thing that grates me. Right, Fabio Capello has won league titles and trophies at every club he's managed. I mean, look at AS Roma. He took over. He brought in Batistuta. He won the title. Right. If it wasn't for Capello, Totti would be like Alan Shearer, or should I say Steven Gerrard, fantastic legend for the club, but won absolutely nothing, right? So Capello wins a league title everywhere he goes. He's won Champions Leagues, whatnot. He gets the England manager's job, but what happens? He doesn't mollycoddle the players. He makes them do double training sessions. He basically tells them to do routines, and if they get them wrong, they do it again and again and again till they get it right. He tells the players, he dared tell the players to leave their mobile phones in their lockers and turn them off. Well, how dare he do that? And players turn against him because he's an authoritarian. They don't like his methods. They feel he's too harsh on them. Hang about, you're earning 100 to 200 grand a week, right? You're representing your national team. You've got a guy here that's coached Ronaldo, Baggio, Batistuta, Zidane, Beckham, all these great players over the years. Look at the great Milan team of Savicevic, Van Basten. He's coached all of these players. And you've got someone like, I don't know, Frank Lampard and all these other players who are too big for their own boots, and they're not performing for the guy. Well, what do you expect? As far as I'm concerned, England get what they deserve. You had the perfect manager there, and you threw him under the bus because he dared, go against what your belief system is. It's nonsense.
So glad you said that, because everything you've just said is what I've been saying for years. I can't believe the way they treated Capello. They treated him like he was, funny enough, like he was Steve McLaren. And I'm thinking, and I sat there and I'm thinking, was he really that bad? You would rather Roy Hodgson over this guy, and that's
Chris,
all I kept thinking.
He's not English though. If his name was Fred Clooney, they'd love him.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And that's all it is. They would sooner employ, and this is the other person that I could have believed was being linked with a job. They'd sooner employ Sam fucking Allardyce because he has the right passport than, you know what, than even Arsene Wenger. And that makes no fucking sense to me.
Well, to me, it makes perfect sense. You know why? Because Sam Allardyce is the epitome of what the English fans want. They want a manager with, here's that word, passion. That I hear that word and I cringe, right? What? Because a manager can run up and down the touchline and bark orders and thump his chest. That makes him a great manager. Well, Martin O'Neill does that, and he spunk £130 million at Aston Villa, and now they're a championship club. And I keep saying this, he's the reason why they're down there, but that's by the by. When you look at all the English managers out there, who do you have? Right? You have Sam Allardyce, you have Alan Pardew, you have Stuart Pearce, you have Peter Taylor, you have all these names. I'm thinking. I mean, there's a radio station which I'm not going to mention because I think they're absolute dog shites, pardon my language, and they were saying that Glenn Hoddle should be the next England manager. Hang about Glenn Hoddle.
Popular one. That is
Glenn Hoddle. Hang about. Glenn Hoddle hasn't managed for like 20 years or something like that. He was at Wolves. I think Wolves was his last job. Football has evolved. You can't play a Christmas tree formation these days. You can't rely on two central defenders without any pace or any intelligence that just want to get their head in the way. That's not what it's about. You're fair enough. Understand you've got to be proud to play for your national team because Portugal proved that if you have that pride and you have that team ethic, you can go on and achieve great things. But the bottom line is these England players do not care about playing for the national team. They'll say it. They'll talk about the 3 lions and how proud they are. And Joe Hart will apologise to all the England fans after cocking up for the 15th time. But they don't care. Why should they? Let's be honest. Why should they care? Because let's not beat around the bush here. They go to play for their national team. They don't win. They come back. They get dog's abuse. Look at David Beckham. He went to France '98 as a hero. Right, he was the next best thing, and all the papers loved him. He made one silly mistake, and they're threatening his family. So these England players now, they're getting more than what they were on back in '98 anyway. They're getting 100 times more than what they were on back in '98. They don't care. Man's gonna finish playing for England. He's gonna head to Ibiza like what Carl Walker did and Dele Alli. They don't care. And why would they? Let's be honest. Why should they? And why would they? You lose a game, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. At the end of the day.
So do you think it's a lot deeper than just the manager?
Of course. There's so much. There's so much more, man. So much more. Listen, let me tell you something, right? I go to Spain quite regularly, right? A lovely place. I can't knock the people. I love the culture, everything. But the thing is, there was one thing I noticed. I went to Barcelona a few years ago, and it wasn't. I'm not talking about Barcelona as in like the stadium. I did the whole Nou Camp thing when I went to the semi-final of the Champions League. I'm in the actual area, Barcelona, and I saw a Sunday league pitch where the kids go there. I mean, they go there, they train, they practice. The mum and dads take food. They have like picnics. It's like a family. It's a cultural thing. It's really nice. You don't see parents shouting on the touchlines. They let the coaches get on with it. I'm thinking. This is a stark contrast to what we see in England. You go to a Sunday league game, even if it's a pub team, you've got people on the side berating referees, berating coaches, having a go at each other. Whereas on the continent, they just let them get on with it, right? And the problems are endless. You've got underfunding. You look at the German national team that won the World Cup in 2014. That was 10 to 15 years worth of rebuilding. The German FA saw how bad they were doing. I mean, look at that World Cup in '94. Look how atrocious they were. You know, I know they won Euro '96, but they were going backwards. So what did they do? They pumped money into the infrastructure. They built on it. And they said, right, we're going to change the rules a bit. You need X amount of homegrown players in your match day squad. And look at them. Look at the players they're producing. It's a conveyor belt of talent, mate. They just don't stop producing these players. Look at the Dutch. For decades, the Dutch have been producing players. Ajax have got over 20 teams, right? Stretching from under 10s all the way to the under 21s. It's ridiculous. But they've got a tight-knit system, right? You look at even the Italians. I mean, people say the Italian football is boring, but let me tell you what, if you remember Serie A back in the 90s, that was the place to be, you know? So the British game as a whole is suffering because people that are making the decisions, they got their priorities all wrong. Why are England playing an international friendly against Malta in the first couple of weeks of the new season? Why? Who's going to want to go watch England against Malta? I'd be surprised if they get 30,000 at Wembley.
Yeah, that does seem. It seems nuts that they're playing Malta. Like, what good is that going to do them? I don't understand.
It's nonsensical and it's a farce. That's what it is. You know, they're going to get a 5-6-0 win, and people are going to say, "Oh yeah, you know, we're back. Our new managers are taking the helm." No, it's going to be the same old story, right? If you've got relics and people with antiquated ideas, then you're not going to go anywhere. You know, you need to revolutionize things. Do you know the problem that we have out here, is the price of coaching? I know people that are taking coaching badges and they're spending 2, 3, 4 grand on coaching to achieve these badges, to learn, right? But if you go on the continent, you're paying 400 or 500 euros. I've got friends in America who've gone to America to coach because it's cheaper and you get more money from it because it's a developing nation. Out here, everyone thinks they know everything, and that's another problem. They're just ignorant. They're not open-minded about things. And as I said, it goes back to the whole foreign manager situation. They've got a manager like Capello, they've got Wenger and Eriksson that come in. They try to revolutionize things, and they don't like it. You know, it's only when you've got someone like Arsene Wenger that comes, who brings in his own ideas, like what he did when he came from Grand Passat in Japan. You know, it took him a few months to get things sorted. The players didn't have a clue what was going on because he's banning them from drinking. He's, you know, implementing new styles, new ideas, you know, new diets, whatnot. And 20 years later, he's still there. You know, he revolutionized the Premier League, regardless of what people say. You know, the one good thing about Sam Allardyce, though, is that he, I wouldn't say he's old school in his way of thinking. He did bring in sports science at Bolton. You know, and that's one thing that he believes in, which is a step forward. You know, it is. So, but anyway.
So, who would you have?
Who would I have? Well, look, who's out there for a start? Who's available? You know, it's difficult to say because you know all the best managers are at the best clubs. You know, you look at the Premier League. Look at all the managers there. Would any of those leave their clubs to manage England? I don't think so. You know, the person they should have gone for, my honest opinion, Ancelotti. He's the one they should have gone for. They should have said to him, you know, hold fire, don't go to Bayern, we'll pay you whatever it is, and take the reins. But he's Italian. He's Italian. Then who's next? Laurent Blanc, he's free, but I think he'll get the France job. I think that's it for Deschamps. So who else? Nigel Pearson? Who? Who?
All right, so let me throw 2 names at you. Neither of them you've mentioned yet. What about Wenger?
Wenger? Okay, why would Arsene Wenger want to leave his cushy job at Arsenal where he knows that he's probably got 1 year to 2 years and then he's going to go on the board? Why?
You never know. I mean, he's got 1 year left on his contract. He might think, you know what? Maybe I need a new challenge just before I hang it up.
Yeah, but Chris, he's what, 60-something years old, right? And he's a day-to-day guy. Right? Can you imagine Arsene Wenger not doing anything?
Yeah.
I can't see it. And let's not forget, he gets enough stick from your supporters. Why would he want it from the nation?
From the nation, yeah.
He's not stupid, man.
I've often said that.
He's old and senile, but he's not stupid.
Okay. And then the other one, if we're going to go with British, The other one that's floating around, which will probably make you laugh, Eddie Howe.
See, that wouldn't make me laugh because I think Eddie Howe is the next best thing to come out of this country. I respect the guy. I think what he's done for Bournemouth has been absolutely incredible. He's got new ideas. He's fresh. He's young. You know, he's willing to give youth a chance. You know, but the problem is, I think it's too soon. You need to have to manage at that level. You need to have someone that's been there and done it.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't forget, Eddie Howe, right, is how old? How old is Eddie Howe? He's young. He's got to be like early 40s, isn't he?
Like he was one of the youngest Premier League managers.
Eddie Howe's 38, mate. He's 38, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So when you look at the players that England have at the moment, when you look at, I don't know, Cahill, who's like early 30s, Wayne Rooney, early 30s, right? He's not going to drop all of these 30-year-old players. True. Because it's what the sponsors want. They want your Wayne Rooney's because he's marketable, he's financially viable, you know.
Sure.
And don't forget, again, Eddie Howe hasn't achieved anything. He hasn't won anything, right? And that's another thing. You've got to have an experienced man there, you know. People talk about Alan Pardew. Why do you want Alan Pardew? What has Alan Pardew achieved apart from dancing in an FA Cup final? What has he done?
Well, there was for about 5 minutes. See, I don't rate Alan Pardew at all. But for about 5 minutes, he proved he was not as shit as I had always thought he was. Literally, for about 5 minutes last season, where Palace was like flirting with sick.
Yeah, but this always happens with Alan Pardew. It's a trend where the team will start off well, and then when it comes to the December, January time, they start falling away because their players are knackered, because he relies on a small squad. He doesn't believe in depth. Now, I know Simon Osborne really well, who used to play for Crystal Palace in the early 90s, and he was in his teens, late teens, when he joined Palace, and Alan Pardew was there. And he always used to say, Alan Pardew is fantastic with younger players. And the proof is in the pudding. He's done it at Newcastle, and he's doing it at Palace. You know, he works very well with young players, and you know, for an under-21 role, he'd be great, personally, I think, or even an under-19 role. Get rid of AD Boothroyd, because I don't even know what he's still doing in football. You know, I think he's a disgrace, but that's another story. But yeah, ask Steve Cabell what he thinks of AD Boothroyd, and he will tell you otherwise. But listen, at the end of the day, they need someone that's been there and done it. I think Ancelotti would be superb. I think Jurgen Klinsmann will be superb. What he's done,
I think that too. That would be my choice.
But he's German.
As popular as I know that won't be with us Arsenal listeners that won't be listening, but I actually do. I think he'd be a good choice.
But he's German, so yeah. they wouldn't. And I'll tell you another guy, right? And I'll tell you this right now: Mark Warburton, right, at Glasgow Rangers, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything. Don't get me wrong, and it totally contradicts what I said before. But you know what? He did. He worked wonders at Brentford, right? They got rid of him for. I don't even know why they got rid of him. I think they politics. Right? He went to Glasgow Rangers, right? And fair enough, people can shit on the Scottish League as much as they want. You know, I don't care. But at the end of the day, he has trusted youth. I think Zeeland was there, wasn't he, last season? Your boy.
Yeah, he was.
He was there last season, right? He trusts youth. He blends players with experience. Like you got Kenny Miller there, right? You know, they won their first game. Got to a cup final as well, which, to be honest, is unheard of for a club that, you know, have been so depleted and whatnot. And I think he's fantastic with younger players. He's another player, another guy that can probably take it to that next level. But again, they don't want to employ people like that because he's not a yes man. They would rather have someone like, as I said, you know, your Harry, I wouldn't say Harry Redknapp, really. They take someone like, as I said before, like your Roy Hodgsons or your Phil Nevilles or, you know, your Ian Holloways or your Alan Kirbyshleys or who else? These names I keep going, Steve Bruce. These names, like, you just like, are you serious?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And ultimately, I mean, it goes back to...
Neil Warnock, there's another one, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, going back to what you were saying about how, you know, it's important to have someone that's been there, done that. I mean, quite frankly, mate, there aren't a lot of English managers that have.
Exactly.
If they're committed to going down that route, they're just going to have to take a chance on a Howe or a Warburton. I should even consider Warburton, but it's you raise a fair point. I mean, if we're talking about high-profile clubs, is that more of a high-profile club than any of the others?
They get 47,000 every home game.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, Rangers are a massive.
They're huge.
That is a good. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a good choice for me.
They're huge.
That would be sensible.
But at the end of the day, it's, like I said, it goes back to the bigger problem, the powers that be, right? It's like it's a massive domino effect, mate. Honestly, it really is. And football in this country is suffering because the people that are making the decisions have got their priorities all wrong. It all boils down to money. Okay, Scudamore is one of the biggest frauds out there, right? And I know he's part of the Premier League. He's got nothing to do with the FA, but again, he is the biggest fraud and one of the biggest scumbags out there. And again, while what he's done for the Premier League in terms of the generating revenue and this and that is great, you can't argue with that. As a person, morals, all wrong, mate, all wrong. You know, that money that the Premier League made from TV, how much of that is actually going towards grassroots? How much? Because I don't know. How much money is going into grassroots from the TV deal in Europe? How much? You tell me, because I don't think it's hardly any, really. And then you see teams like Crewe and Oldham and Huddersfield, teams that are producing players. Crewe is a perfect example. Look at Dario Gradi, what he's done over these, producing players or taking players that haven't made it at your Uniteds and making them good, like your David Platts, your Robbie Savages, your Danny Murphys, your Neil Lennons, making players good, getting them from nowhere, and trusting in grassroots, trusting in youngsters' abilities. What's happening to these clubs? They're being depleted. They're being ripped to shreds because they don't have money. Because TV deal money is only going to the big league, and to me, I think it's an utter disgrace. You know, that money should be shared. Do you know how much money the team that ends 20th next season will get? Do you know how much?
I can imagine.
100 million for getting relegated.
The parachute payments as well.
Well, I don't think they get parachute payments anymore after this season, but why would you need parachute payments when you get 100 million for
True, yeah.
no incentive? Teams that come up, like look at the teams that have come up. Who got promoted again? I forget. It's my brain. Middlesbrough's come up. Who came up? Hull came up. And there's another one.
Is it Sheffield Wednesday?
No, Sheffield Wednesday lost in the final to Hull. I forget the other team that came out. I'm just brain. Burnley. All right, fine. So you got Burnley, Hull, and Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough are going to stay up. I think Karanka's going to do. Karanka, he's another one that could do the England job. I think. You know. Yeah. He hasn't won anything, but you know what? His ideas are there. He's assembled a very good Middlesbrough team. You know, they did very well last season. But again,
probably a slightly more high-profile job than the Middlesbrough.
Hey, listen, he was a Real Madrid assistant manager for. I don't think that's a bad.
True.
I don't think it's a bad job to have.
I mean, they were talking about fucking Paul Clement being a potential candidate.
Yeah, but you know, again, Paul Clement, you can't slate the guy because he was assistant manager at Real Madrid. He's now assistant manager at Bayern Munich. If he wasn't any good, Ancelotti wouldn't take him with him.
Yeah,
he just went to Derby County at the wrong time, I believe. You know,
too early. Yes,
I think so. I think so. But
I agree.
Listen, we could talk all day about England, but again, I will always say the FA, the Premier League have got a lot to answer to. If that money from the TV deal is spread across lower leagues, non-leagues, grassroots level especially, this country will be in a better position. However, you also got to point the finger at the clubs as well. Because when you hear stories about 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, or even 17-year-olds signing the first professional contracts and they're being paid 4, 5, even 10, or even 20 grand a week, which one Chelsea youngster is being paid at 18 years old, where's their incentive to want to perform at international level? Where is it?
Yeah, I agree.
Because they would rather take selfies and put shit on Snapchat than actually turn out on the pitch and play for their nation and pay for the fans that pay their wages.
So, I mean, speaking of the Premier League, obviously we're about a month away from the start of the season.
Yeah.
How do you feel, first of all, about Van Gaal's departure? Were you a fan of Van Gaal? You know, I never asked you that question.
Chris, you know what? I'll be honest with you. When he took over, the first thing I thought was, right, he's been there, he's done that. Okay, he's got a reputation for blooding youngsters. He's done it with Ajax. He's done it at Barcelona. Done it at Bayern Munich. You cannot dispute what he's done in the past.
Yeah,
That's the past.
you can't fuck with his CV. Yeah,
No, not at all. Not at all. It speaks for itself. But again, that was then.
yeah.
That was then. And to be fair on the guy, he came in. He took over a really poor team. I mean, David Moyes.
To be fair, it was pretty poor when Alex Ferguson left it. But
Mate, let me tell you what. Alex Ferguson won the league with one of the most average teams I've ever seen.
yeah,
Average.
yeah.
You know, average. And let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something about Alex Ferguson. United fans, don't really understand this, but Alex Ferguson has got a lot to answer to. Yes, he's been our best ever manager. Yes, he's one of the reasons why the club has been so successful. But Alex Ferguson is also one of the reasons why the club is in the mess that it is in at the moment. Right?
Yeah, I've seen your tweet on this before, and I completely and utterly agree with you.
Oh, mate, I can go on a tangent when it comes to Sir Alex Ferguson, to be honest. Honestly, listen, as a manager, superb. You cannot argue or dispute what he's achieved. But as a person, he's a piece of shit, right? Alex Ferguson only looks after Alex Ferguson, okay? When the Glazers were going to take over the club, he turned around and he said, if they take over, I'm walking, right? If he'd have walked, then the banks would not have given the Glazers the money that they required to buy the club. Why did he stay? Why did he stay? He used the excuse that, there are people that have been working for the club for longer than I've been here and they're going to lose their jobs. Well, no, they wouldn't. The tea lady wouldn't lose her job. The kit man won't lose his job. It's all lies. It was all lies. It was all bonkers. But when you hear about his son being part of the Goldman Sachs group that brokered the deal, it says it all, really, doesn't it? Why did the Coolmore sell their shares? Because they fell out with Ferguson over a bloody horse. So basically, United lost its soul because of horse spunk. Basically, that's what it was, wasn't it? About the bloody horse and what kind of stuff. So yeah, again, I can go on about tangent, but when it came to Van Gaal, he came in with a reputation. He came in with, as he kept using the term philosophy. And to be fair, in his first season, he didn't do too badly. We came top 4, which is the objective. That's what we needed. We weren't going to challenge for the title, not with the squad that we had. Yeah, he brought in Falcao, but that was more like a Mendes thing. We lost a lot of power when Mendes fell out of bed with us. Mendes was the man at the time. He helped bring in Ronaldo, Nani, Anderson, De Gea. So when we fell out with him, it was more like damage limitation. But we jumped back into bed with him. He brought in Falcao. He helped with the Di Maria deal, Rojo, and a few other players and whatnot. And we had a fairly good first season. But then all of a sudden, Van Gaal, he just changed. It's like he turned into Jekyll and Hyde. I mean,
what was the turning point for you?
For me, I think the turning point was the summer of the second season, because he was doing a clear out, which, let's be honest, there was a lot of deadwood. Johnny Evans, Darren Fletcher, Hernandez, who, he did fairly well in the German league, but when you're looking at a league that averages 3 goals a game, but he cleared out a lot of deadwood, which we needed to do, and fair play to the guy. But when you're looking at the squad, and it was just bare bones, he sold Welbeck, he sold Hernandez, as I mentioned, and then your only striker is Wayne Rooney, and then he decides to play him in a central midfield at the end of the season. So what's going on? You got James Wilson, he sent him out on loan. So who did we have up front? Who was scoring our goals? Who was there to score our goals? I mean, then you look at the back line, Chris Smalling and Daley Blind. Come on now. I mean, I've never been Chris Smalling's biggest fan, and I never will be, to be honest. I think he's appalling. I think he's atrocious. He has improved, but I'm sorry, just being okay is not good enough to play for Man United. Okay isn't good enough for Arsenal. Okay isn't good for Liverpool. Okay isn't good for Chelsea. You need very good. You need outstanding. And there's a difference. He wasn't bringing in outstanding players. Yeah, he blooded a few youngsters, which, fair enough, I'll give it to him. But
which he's very good at doing, to be fair.
Yeah, but you know what? People are going to probably disagree with me on this, but if it wasn't for the injuries that we had caused by his training methods, we wouldn't be playing players like Rashford and Cameron Borthwick-Jackson and all that, So it's a double-edged sword when it came to Wenger. Let's be 100% honest. He achieved what he had to achieve in his first season. His second season had to challenge for the title at least. He failed in that, but he won a cup. And you can't. When you look at it, when you look at the bigger picture, what did he do wrong really? Because 2 out of the 3 objectives he achieved. So, what can you say? He made stupid decisions. You know, bringing on Nick Powell in a game against Wolfsburg, when Nick Powell was clearly unfit, and we all know why, which I'm not going to go into, just in case you get sued and I get sued. But let's just say I don't call him Hick Powell for no reason. You know, so the decisions that he made, and, you know, like, okay, Memphis, they give you Depay for a perfect example, right? He came in, big reputation, coming from a fantastic season at PSV Eindhoven. It's a different league, you know, it's a different animal, the Premier League. It's unforgiving. He started off fairly well, but then he lost a bit of form, maybe got a bit too cocky. I don't know what happened at training, but, you know, he dropped him. We played Middlesbrough in the League Cup, right? And the kid was having a stinker, right? He was having a backup, but you know what? He was trying, and that's enough for me. You know, okay, fair enough. He wasn't, you know, doing skills and beating his man, but he was trying. He took it. He had a shot from like 25 yards, which almost hit the corner flag, and he hauled him off immediately. And we didn't see him for like 2 months. And I'm sitting there thinking, is this your man management? Is this how you man manage players? Because that's not how you do it. Picking Daley Blind as centre back and asking him to hoof the ball 60 yards diagonally ain't going to win you games. When you got a player like Memphis, who clearly has got talent, there's no doubt about it. Fair enough, it's his application and probably his attitude that lets him down, but he's a talented youngster. He's a talented individual. You've got to look after these players. But what does he do? You can't haul the kid off and put him in the wilderness, playing him in the reserves against Norwich City. For Christ's sake. You know, the decisions that he made were shocking. You know, he's playing Rojo at left back. He's not a left back. He plays a left back for Argentina because he's got 3 central defenders beside him. Play him as centre back, because when he was at centre back with Smalling, they played very well the first season. But he still insists in playing Daley Blind, who's got no pace, who's got no tactical awareness in the defensive third, and he's a defender. He's a central midfielder. So, you know, the problems go on. The problems go on.
So, given that, are you happy with Jose's appointment?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, we should have got him when Ferguson retired. And again...
Wow, an enthusiastic response. Good.
No, listen. When Ferguson retired, Mourinho was out of a job. Why didn't we go for him? I'll tell you why we didn't go for him. Because Sir Alex Ferguson didn't want Mourinho there, because he felt that bringing in David Moyes, he would have a little puppet there. He would have Ryan Giggs there with him, because he wanted Ryan Giggs to be the next manager, right? And he was promoting Giggs to be the next manager. And I'm glad that Ryan Giggs is out on his bloody arse, to be honest.
Wow,
I'm glad he's out on his arse. I am.
Well, usually, because I've got a few United friends, one in particular, who is really skeptical about. That's why I said enthusiastic response. Really skeptical about the Jose appointment, and he would have loved to have seen Giggs get a chance. I'm like, you can't give control to such a major club to an inexperienced, albeit legend, but an inexperienced man in Ryan Giggs.
Chris, why does your mate want Ryan Giggs? What reasons has he given for Ryan Giggs?
To be honest with you, he's never really said in a kind of a logical way, other than a sentimental one.
Right.
He feels that the club is losing its soul, and he feels
the club lost its soul when it was sold to the Glazers, my friend.
Fair enough.
No, I'm telling you. No, in fact, the club lost its soul when it became a PLC. That's when it lost its soul. Every club loses it when it becomes a PLC, when it becomes available for someone to buy. Every club does, right? Yeah. So that notion can go right out the window, first of all, right? I'm not having it, right? Let me tell you something about Ryan Giggs, right? As quality as a player he was, as fantastic as a footballer, as an individual, you know, you hear about, you know, the story about him, you know, turning down Man City to come to United because that's a team he supports. Fine, I get it. Fine, he did fantastic for the club. Well done, thank you. Right? He was going to be a coach. Brilliant. You're coaching the players, whatever. But then when you hear stories about him walking out of training because David Moyes was doing defensive work, which I can understand why he'd get frustrated because, it's Man United, you focus on attack and you're doing 2 hours defensive work. It's nonsense, right? I can understand that. But you're a coach. You don't storm out. You got standards, okay? When you see the youngsters and they're looking at Ryan Giggs and they're looking at him and they say, right, he's a club legend and he's walking out because he's not happy with the manager. What does that say? I think it's a disgrace, right? But then he's throwing Moyes under the bus, isn't he? He's got his little buddies Rio and Paul Scholes in the media, right? His little mouthpieces, and he's telling them to say this and he's telling them stories. And, Paul Scholes has got his face, down to the bloody ground because he's upset that the team's lost and he's pointing the finger at David Moyes. And then the same with Van Gaal, because that's what Giggs did. He was throwing Van Gaal under the bus. Everything that you heard Paul Scholes and Rio Ferdinand say came from, it's all Ryan Giggs.
Yeah.
Right? And let me tell you something. It's all about reputation, right? If Graham Rix didn't do what he did to a girl, would he still be at Chelsea? Yes, he would. Right? Clubs are all about reputation, about public relations, about their image and whatnot. Now, if Ryan Giggs was appointed Man United manager, what would that say about the club knowing full well what he did in his private life? Which I'm not going to go into because I know Ryan Giggs' brother Rodri very well. Okay, right. And I'm not going to go into that. Okay, but what Ryan Giggs did in his private life, right? Do you really think United are going to want a catastrophe? Because it would be a catastrophe if Ryan Giggs took the reins. Because as you said, what experience has he got? What experience has he got? You cannot take charge of one of the biggest clubs in the world, and make no mistake about it, United are one of the biggest clubs in the world, regardless of what they have or haven't won in the past 4 or 5 years. Yeah, you can't take the reins if you've got 0 experience. And that's what I said with David Moyes, right? Winning the League 2 trophy with Preston and having a few good years at Everton doesn't warrant the Man United job because Sir Alex Ferguson picks you, right? The moment he told Rio Ferdinand to look at DVDs of how Phil Jagielka defends, that's when he should have got sacked.
Yeah.
Because you don't tell Rio Ferdinand, who's won Champions League, who's won league titles, who's played over 500-600 games, to say, well, you know what? This is how Phil Jagielka does it. Phil Jagielka. What has Phil Jagielka done in his career, apart from playing goal a couple of times for Sheffield United? You tell me.
Yeah, that's
so. David Moyes was a catastrophe, right? Lumsden or, all his cronies and backroom staff were a catastrophe. Van Gaal comes in, he does little bits and bobs in the side, which, let's be honest, again, he did some good things. And, he noticed little things. And that's the mentality of the difference between European coaches and British coaches. He looked at the training ground. He saw that, it was too open. So he told them to plant a few trees so that the ball doesn't move about too much, so that they can control the ball better. Little things like that you don't notice unless you're an experienced person. Now we've got a guy that's a born winner. He's a winner. Wherever he goes, he wins. And let's be honest, people hate him. People hate United. Perfect.
It's true. That's what I have said.
Tell me something. What exactly is it about Mourinho that people don't want, that United fans don't want? What is it? Because I can't think of a reason. People say, oh, he parks the bus. Well, I'm sorry. I seem to remember Sir Alex Ferguson playing 4-5-1 in Europe, putting 10 men behind the ball and hoping for a counter-attack.
To be honest, I think your style of football, between Moyes and Van Gaal, you might as well forget that style of football argument. I think probably the reservation, just speaking to a few United fans, it's the idea that, well, ultimately, he was sacked from his previous job.
Okay.
For leading Chelsea to where they eventually ended up. Do you buy that argument, or?
Okay, well, you've heard the term form is temporary, class is permanent, right?
Yeah.
You tell me one footballer or one manager that hasn't gone through a sticky period in their career. You tell me one manager or player that has been perfect every single game, because I can't think of one. I seem to remember Maradona going off the rails at one point, greatest player ever. I seem to remember Zidane losing the plot in the World Cup final. I seem to remember, Thierry Henry going through a bad patch in his career. But it's temporary, it happens. And circumstances. And here's another thing, what people understand. Do you remember Lee Harper that used to play for Arsenal?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, again, he's been on our show on a regular basis, and we've spoken to him about the situation with Mourinho. In fact, when Mourinho was going through the whole sticky period at the beginning with Chelsea with the physio, and what he said to us when he was at Arsenal, all the players trusted Gary Lewin. He was the physio, right? Now, bearing in mind, you're a footballer, you're on the sidelines, you're not playing, you're feeling down, maybe you're having problems at home, whatever. You're sitting there, you're talking to people, you're talking to your physio, right? You're entrusting him with everything. Probably the same thing happened at Chelsea. They probably trusted this woman. And let's be honest, she's a woman, so she listens. She understands, she gives advice. So you imagine all the stuff that she probably knew or had on these players. Now, with Mourinho treating her the way that she did, these players are probably thinking, what if she sells her story to the papers? What if they find out about this? What if they find out about that? So naturally, they're gonna turn on the manager, aren't they? For that one incident. People don't see these things. They try and they see Mourinho had a bad season at Chelsea, and immediately he's a crap manager and he isn't a man. Let me tell you something. You tell me one manager that has won the Champions League that is in the Premier League apart from Mourinho. You tell me one. Tell me. Has Klopp won the Champions League? He's got to a final. He's lost. Has Wenger? He's got to a final. He's lost. Has Conte got to a final? Did he even get to the final? No, it was the other fellow who's there at the moment. I forget his name. It was the Milan manager. So you tell me one manager that's in the Premier League at the moment that's won the Champions League. 2 Champions League. You tell me.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I agree. I made the argument that I felt that he, much like you said, in a weird way, I think he was a better appointment than Van Gaal. I think, like you said, I think he would have been the ideal person to have taken over from Ferguson. And apart from anything, sorry, Chelsea fans, I don't give a fuck what they say. It is clearly his dream job. Clearly,
it is
clear from pretty much the get-go that.
Mate, just read Diego Torres's book about Mourinho. He actually said Mourinho cried after being overlooked for the job. He even said, David Moyes, what has he won? Why are they choosing him? Because people like Bobby Charlton in the background didn't want Mourinho because of his antics or what he did with Villanova or whatever, and the way that he behaves. He felt that it will bring the club down. Ferguson didn't want him because, he'd probably, overshadow him. But again, when you look at the bigger picture, was Alex Ferguson an angel? Ask Jules Majorano what he thinks about Sir Alex Ferguson and how Sir Alex Ferguson treated him. Ask Uriah Rennie why he sent off Alex Ferguson at Newcastle for kicking the ball at him. Ask David Beckham about Sir Alex Ferguson. You know what, the list is endless, but you know what? You've got to be a bastard to be successful.
Yes, I agree with that.
You've got to be a bastard.
In any walk of life, not just football.
Exactly. You tell me one manager that doesn't have that streak in him. Tell me one successful manager that doesn't have that streak in him.
So, I mean, given that, and you've mentioned signings and stuff, let's talk about United signings. What do you think of them? What do you make of them? You've mentioned one of them already, Ibrahimovic, and how you felt that, he was getting to the point where he's at the end of his career. What do you think about that signing?
Do you know what? People say it's a waste of money, it's this, it's that. They're trying to put a negative spin on it. Let me tell you something. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has done almost everything there is to do in football. Okay, fair enough, the Champions League has evaded him, but everywhere he's gone, he scored goals. Everywhere he's gone, he's won titles. Now, bearing in mind that, as I said before, we're lacking up front. We've got players like Martial, we've got James Wilson, we've got Rashford, we've got Depay, we've got, players going forward, but they need someone there that's a senior figure. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, in fact, it happened in the past, we brought in Laurent Blanc. People were laughing, oh, they sold Jaap Stam, they've got Laurent Blanc, yada, yada, yada. Well, tell me what, ask Rio Ferdinand how much he learned from Laurent Blanc. Ask Wes Brown, who's still playing now, what he learned from Laurent Blanc. Ask John O'Shea, who's captain at Sunderland, who's done so well at international level and at United, what he learned from Laurent Blanc, right? These players, if you don't learn from them, then you don't deserve to be a professional footballer. You don't deserve to be playing at that level. When United signed Henrik Larsson, ask Wayne Rooney what he learned. Ask Danny Welbeck what he learnt from Van Nistelrooy. Signing players with that stature and that experience, you can't go wrong. It's like when I hear about Arsenal signing players that when they signed Mertesacker and Arteta, Arsenal fans were losing the shit. I'm like, hang about Mertesacker, right? As slow as he is and as pedestrian as he is, what he can give from a defensive standpoint to the youngsters, you can't buy that. What Arteta has brought to Arsenal, right? Second to none. And it's proof in the pudding. He's gone to coach with Guardiola at City. So signing a player that's in their mid-30s, and let's be honest, he's fit as a fiddle. He doesn't look like a 35-year-old player, does he? Let's be honest. He might take some time to get used to the Premier League because of the fast pace and whatnot and the physicality. But you know what? He can handle himself. He's a big boy.
I mean, my personal opinion is I think he's a perfect signing for you guys. And I know I've heard people express concern that, will he affect Rashford's development? I actually think Rashford will learn from him.
Yeah.
I think Rashford is of the age where, quite frankly, one thing, I don't know if you agree with this, one thing I find that's wrong with this country often is that when you find a player that's halfway decent, there's this eagerness to play him week in, week out, week in, week out. And that doesn't need to happen in Man United's case.
I agree.
Rich ain't going to stay there for 5-6 years.
I totally agree, mate. Let me tell you what.
Maybe 2 years. I would say a year at the very least. And why can't Rashford learn from him in a year?
I agree. And it goes back to exactly what you said. They try to hotshot these players to make them out to be the next best thing. I'll give you an example. Theo Walcott.
No, right? Gosh, that's what I had in mind.
It's the perfect example. 16 years old, he joins Arsenal. They throw him in the England squad for whatever reason. Well, let's be honest, David Dean had a lot to do with that. And what's he done since? He's been at Arsenal for 10 years. And what has he done? Has he got that much better? Because when I remember him at Southampton, he was tearing defenders to shreds. He was scaring the shit out of defenders. The best performance I've seen him play was when he scored a hat-trick against Croatia for England.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything special from him at Arsenal. And again, it goes back to what I said before. I keep saying this about players like him and Sterling. They're speed merchants. When they get an ankle injury or when they get an Achilles injury and they lose half a yard of pace, a yard, 2 yards, then what? Are they intelligent? Are they tactically astute? I don't think so. They're one-trick ponies. Players like Nathan Redmond, who's gone to Southampton, which good on the guy because I think that's a perfect club to evolve and to go.
Yeah,
absolutely. Good luck to him. I really hope he does well there. But then you've got players like Chalobah, who's at Chelsea, languishing in the reserves. Last season he was at Napoli.
Yeah, or that
Loftus-Cheek, good player.
Yeah.
Duncan Watmore. I think Watmore at Southampton is fantastic.
Yeah.
Even Callum Chambers. Let's be honest, he's a good player. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's right now for Arsenal. But again, why throw him in the first team? Play him in the Carling Cup, the Capital One Cup. Give him that experience there because you're throwing him in games where he's expected to keep clean sheets with. Let's be honest, with Gabriel Paulista. Come on, man. Who are these players? You're not going to learn nothing from them. He might learn how to go in two-footed or lose his temper.
You know what? Let me ask you this then. You're a United fan. I know that whenever I do these videos, I'll be honest, I get emotional. I get too, I don't know, I can't look at it objectively. What is your opinion about Arsenal and the way they do transfer business? Because for us, every summer is really a bittersweet moment. I kind of compared it to a friend today. What the transfer window to an Arsenal fan is like a homeless kid at Christmas. You're seeing other people opening presents and enjoying themselves, and all these things are going on around you. Whereas with us, it's like we're just hoping, begging for some sort of scraps to happen. And I always think to myself, what do other teams think about what the fuck we're doing?
Well, shall I be honest with you? It's difficult for me to make an accurate judgment about Arsenal and their transfer windows and the way the fans are, because you lot are so bipolar, you know. And
yes,
listen, I'm not having a pop at anything. I'm not having a dig. But what this is my interpretation. You got two different sets of fans, right? You've got the die-hard Arsenal fans that have been supporting the club for years, right? They've been going to since, you know, Highbury and the North Bank, and you know, I can tell you stories. I know, mate, I've got mates that have been supporting Arsenal for decades. They've been everywhere. You know, they went to Gothenburg and they were involved in all that nonsense with Piers Morgan, whatever. And then you've got the other group of Arsenal fans that are like your new football fans that really should be watching rugby or squash or tennis, and they think they know everything. Like, I'll give you one example. You got some people that were on Arsenal fan TV that were saying that Owen Coyle should have replaced Wenger 4 or 5 years ago because Bolton were doing half decent. Another dinosaur who, may I add, went to Houston and did absolutely fuck all there. But anyway, yeah, where is he now? So, and where are they now, to be fair? Yeah, these fans are the ones that go on your social media and have got like 20,000 followers because they tweet a picture of Koscielny like tying his shoelaces and say, you know, pray for France or whatever the fuck they come up with. Those are the fans that you should really disassociate yourself with, and those are the ones I try to ignore because they're the ones that aren't reasonable, that aren't rational. You know, when Arsenal are playing, they're too busy tweeting about Kante joining Chelsea or something like that. But when it comes to Arsenal's transfer dealings, I can understand your frustration because what you've seen so many big name players leave the club, yet you haven't seen anyone replace them. I can understand why you're frustrated that you're selling your big names and you're more focused on the whole financial aspect in terms of becoming a profitable organization as opposed to a company that wins, a team that wins trophies. I can understand your frustration when someone like Stan Kroenke comes out and says, I'm not here to win trophies, I care about the financial aspect. Again, I can see all this because United have the same, right? Since the Glazers have taken over, the club have spunk over £1 billion in just interest repayments on the debts. Interest repayments, £1 billion, right? This is stupid, right? So yeah, I can understand with your frustration, you know. But when you bring in players like Mesut Ozil, who's been fantastic, he's an absolute diamond. You know, this player you need to hold on to. You know, do what you can, give him everything he wants. If he wants 7 virgins, give him 7 virgins. Doesn't matter, right? Because this player can elevate you. But the problem is, when you see his stats at Real Madrid about how he was, you know, had 20 assists in the season, he's got someone like Ronaldo to score the goals.
Exactly.
You don't. You got Giroud.
A fucking Giroud.
Listen. I'm not going to slate Giroud because, let's be honest, he has got you important goals. But the problem is he doesn't score enough. He went, was it 16, 17 league games without scoring goals? That's poor.
Yeah.
That's poor. But then every summer you hear stories. Oh, what you went in for for Suarez. You went in for Higuain. You went in for this one. You went in for that one. And who you end up with? Sonogo. That would piss me off. that you know,
absolutely pisses us off.
In fact, that actually pisses me off to find out that your main striker, or you know, the guy that Wenger wants, is a former postman. It's taking a piss, man. It's taking a piss. But at the same time, you got to credit Wenger because every year he's getting you top 4. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. You know, so really, okay, yeah, you should be challenging for the title. And let's be honest, this season gone was the perfect chance for you guys to win the title. Because let's be honest, United have fallen by the wayside. City were fallen by the wayside. Liverpool weren't challenging. Your nearest challengers were Spurs and Leicester. I mean, come on, man. Again, Leicester's achievement was fantastic. And yes, I know they had the team ethic. Everyone was playing for each other. They had the never say die attitude. Blah, 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 blah. You can add it. But your Arsenal Football Club, Arsenal Football Club, you know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th isn't good enough. Listen, I'm not one to judge because I'm a United fan. 4th isn't good enough. You should be challenging for the title or competing at least. But you didn't compete anywhere. Did you compete in the Champions League? No. Did you compete in the FA Cup? No. Did you compete in the League Cup? No. So what is it with this notion that, you know, Arsenal should be up there? You haven't done it, so why?
We for us, I think the biggest thing that was the biggest failures of last season in a lot of ways was Arsenal. And I've always said this, And the reason being is, of all the teams that fell away, we didn't. So why didn't we win that league? So my argument has always been, all right, well, all the rest of the teams had a shit season. All right, we finished second to Leicester. How the fuck did we allow that to happen? You know, there's always been like an excuse. There's always been, oh, well, City oil money, and oh, we're paying off our stadium, and
But the stadium's paid off now, so where's the excuse?
So that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So this is why, for me, this season is when Wenger lost me, because I've always been, I wouldn't say a passionate Wenger in, but I've always been the point where I've said, you know what, I'm not really a Wenger out. I'm kind of, you know who I compare Wenger to? You will appreciate this comparison. He's Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah, go on.
He is someone who is a genius in his own right. And I don't think you can necessarily take that away from him, because he's shown his success. He's shown even people the way to do it. How I compare him to Vince McMahon is that he's now not prepared to change his ideology. He believes, oh, because it worked 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it should work today. And instead of adapting to that change, instead of changing his mythology, changing his thinking, he has this stubborn, steadfast, oh, I must remain in charge. A good example is this recruitment bullshit. How the fuck did we lose Vardy? I mean, really? Like,
yeah, Chris, do you honestly think that there was a genuine interest in Jamie Vardy? Because we had the same with Sergio Ramos, in the sense that all these stories were coming out about United were making an offer and this and that, and then a few days later he signs a new contract. Well, there wasn't an offer made by United. It was nonsense. It was stuff made by his agent. What's to say that Vardy's agent wasn't doing the same? They just won the league. He's got a £20 million buyout clause. Of course, he can turn around and say, well, you know, Arsenal are interested in it. No one denied it, though, but no one said that it happened. So, you know, why would Arsenal deny, but why would they not deny? Does that make sense? Personally, I don't think there was any interest in Jamie Vardy, personally. You know, I just think it was just, you know, maybe his agent was being a little bit naughty, trying to get a better deal.
Yeah, my belief has always been, when this Vardy story came out and that we activated his clause, for me, and I did a video about this straight away as soon as I saw the news, I wasn't necessarily pleased we were linked with Vardy. I kind of was pleased about the fact that it at least seemed like we were trying to be aggressive early. And then as it kind of unraveled and it weren't the deal wasn't getting done, I thought to myself, Vardy's using this for a new contract. He has no interest in coming. And I thought to myself, so we're allowing Vardy to make us look like idiots right now.
Yeah, but then you can look at it on the flip side. Maybe the club were happy to let that rumor come out, because if it's coming this season ticket renewal time and you're hearing about, you know, only 10, 20,000 people renewed and you're charging £2,000 a pop, and then all of a sudden you're about to sign the Premier League's leading goal scorer, who, might I add, you know, United did the same with Van Persie. They signed him because he was getting goals. Yes. And Arsenal fans are probably thinking, oh, he's going to be our Van Persie and he's going to fire us to the title.
Exactly what the rumours were.
Yeah. So you just don't know. I mean, look, let's be 100% honest, right? Jamie Vardy's had one really decent season, right? Does he fit your criteria? He's getting goals, yeah. But then when you look at it from a different point of view, right? Is he the type of player that Wenger would sign? Well, yeah, he's quick, but in the system that you play, you need a centre forward that can hold the ball up, that's good in the air, that's physical. That's what you got with Giroud, but he's not as clinical, right? So what would that mean for Vardy? Would he play wide right? Because that's not really his position. Does he track back? Yeah, he runs, but I don't even the notion of Arsenal signing Jamie Vardy, I can't quite understand. Would Wenger change his system for Jamie Vardy? No. It's but like you said about the Vince McMahon comparison, right? What I noticed about Wenger this season is that in certain games he played a system where he would have 10 men behind the ball and he'd counter-attack. He did it at Man City. It worked this season and last season actually, but he didn't do it enough. It just seemed that he would have this system in place, it would work, And then all of a sudden, the next game, he'd go back to what it was before, and then you're drawing against West Brom, or you're dropping points at Watford, or do you know what I mean? I can understand your frustration, because I'm getting frustrated just thinking about it, you know?
I mean, my view of Vardy was always, much like you've said, he's not a Wenger signing. So when I heard it, I was more pleased that we were being aggressive. But I thought to myself, realistically, is he going to do well in a Wenger team? We don't play counter-attacking football. We play controlled football. And so that means Vardy would need to know how to dribble, which I've never seen him do. He would need to know how to hold the ball up, which I can imagine he would be able to learn to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought to myself, okay, 22 million in today's market, when people like Troy Deeney are worth 25 million, I guess 22 million for Jamie Vardy maybe seems about right. Let's go for it. And then as it became apparent that, the deal was falling apart, I kind of thought to myself, well, sure, that's not the type of caliber of striker we should be going for. The caliber of striker we should be going for is the player that we're being heavily linked with, the player we should have got 2 years ago, but because Arsenal is ridiculous when it comes to parting with money, he went to Napoli, is Higuain.
Mm.
He is a perfect player because he does everything Giroud does, except is more clinical. And for me, I think that if it's not him, I personally don't think Lukaku has a good enough touch. I know that Arsenal and United, funny enough, were being linked with Lukaku at the very start of the summer, and I was a bit like, I'm not entirely sure I want him. I'd have loved Lacazette because I think he's a better version of Vardy potentially. I just don't think that Wenger would part with the money required. And Lyon are notoriously really difficult club to deal with. So I'm at the point now where I'm just like, you know what? Let's just see what happens until September 3rd. Anything, I guess, could happen. We did sign Ozil on the last day, so who knows what will happen.
Well, look, beginning of last season, when you lot signed Petr Cech, I said the excuses are done. You have your goalkeeper. Because all I was hearing before was, we needed a defensive midfielder. You got Coquelin, and everyone was happy. We needed an attacking midfielder. We've got Alexis Sanchez and Ozil. Okay, but we need a goalkeeper. Okay, so you got one of the best goalkeepers in the league now. Okay, excuses were done. There's no more excuses. You should have won the league last season. That's my opinion.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
However, this season, I'm saying this again, right? You have to win the league this season. And I'll tell you why. Because you've got Pep Guardiola, who's inheriting a pretty average Man City team, let's be honest. A lot of them are in their late 20s. He signed a couple of players, but Gundogan with his spine problems, I don't know. Jurgen Klopp is still rebuilding at Liverpool. He's brought in 4 or 5 new players. He's going to sell a lot of rubbish. So he's still rebuilding. Mourinho the same, still rebuilding. Leicester got to defend their title. Tottenham, again, they're making a few shrewd signings. They got that Janssen fella. So this is Arsenal's year to win the title. It has to be, right? And this whole thing about Wenger saying that he doesn't want to put the club into debt. Well, I'm sorry. There's the Premier League money now. You've got to spend it. You've got no excuses not to spend. United have spent already, 60-odd million pound, The money is there. The money's come in. It's like you found a pot of gold.
Are you happy with the United signing so far?
So far, yeah. Because he's identified areas of the pitch that we need strengthening, and he's doing that. And don't forget, there's still Pogba to come, and I still think that's going to go through. To be honest, I'm not happy with the amount of money, but you know what? Put it this way: if Raheem Sterling is worth £50 million, come on.
Yes, I agree with that. So you're confident Pogba will happen?
I'm fairly confident. Yeah, I'm fairly confident. And the reason why I'm confident, again, it goes back to Jorge Mendes, who I mentioned earlier. Jorge Mendes has been recruited by United, and it's not an official line, but he's been recruited by United to be some sort of an advisor. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but Mino Raiola, who so happens to be Pogba's agent and Ibrahimovic's agent, had a massive fallout with United, and it was actually over Pogba. Basically, Ferguson wasn't playing Pogba. We played Blackburn Rovers, and he played we had injuries in the middle of the park, but he played Park, Ji-sung Park, and Raphael central midfield, and Pogba was on the bench that day. And what it was is that Ferguson knew that Pogba was in the last few weeks of his contract and he could leave, and he felt that by not playing him would show that he's not good enough, and kind of like demeaning the guy, kind of thing. The kid wanted, well, I should say his agent was demanding something like 25 grand a week, and Ferguson wasn't willing to pay it. And as it turns out, Juventus came in. They bought him for literally like £1 million or 1.3 million, however much it was. And when Raiola went to talk to Ferguson to negotiate one more deal, they almost came to blows. They had to get pulled apart. So Raiola was like, I don't want nothing to do with you while you're here. Obviously, Ferguson is still at the club in some capacity, but Mendes has come in and he's kind of like being the middleman. And Raiola is happy that United have offered enough. He's happy with the deal. Money isn't an object. You know, Juventus are happy to take 100 million, however much it is. I'm fairly confident it will be done by the time the guy ends his holiday this week. To be honest, I think it will be done by the end of the week. That's my honest opinion, anyway. But
wow, okay. And do you feel that you guys are done now after that Pogba deal gets done?
I don't think so. I still think he's got one more position. I think right back is another position, because we're struggling in that position. We've been struggling there for a couple of years. In fact, even when Raphael was there, I never rated him as a fullback. I don't rate him as a player, to be honest. So, well, you know, I mean, we haven't had a decent right back since Gary Neville, and say what you want about him, he was outstanding for us, you know. So our right back, we need.
I don't think you need a centre back.
Well, we've got Bay, haven't we? We've got Bay, the centre back from Villarreal.
Oh, of course, yeah. Gosh, I forgot about him. You got him early.
Or Bay, as he's pronounced, Bay, not Bay, Bay. Yeah. So yeah. So look, we've got Bay, we've got Smalling, we've got Jones. Well, Jones is awful, but again, under Mourinho, you just don't know. That's the thing. Under Mourinho, you could have a completely different team. You know, when you've got once again, it goes back to having character, and it goes back to the whole Ryan Giggs thing. Can Ryan Giggs make an average player decent? I don't think so. You know, Mourinho can, Ferguson can, and he has done. And that's the point I'm making when it comes to Ryan Giggs. Even if he did get the manager's position, what credentials? What has he done? I mean, people like to mention Guardiola and say, "Oh well, you know, he came from the Barcelona ranks," but Guardiola has charisma. People listen to him. He's a revolutionary. You know what I mean? He's got new ideas. I mean, you look at Philip Lahm. Philip Lahm was moved into central midfield, and he made him a decent player, an even better player. Sorry. Philip Lahm has always been a quality player, but he made that central midfield position his own. So that's what I'm talking about. And it goes again back to the England manager's position. You need a guy with charisma, someone that can get the best out of players. And you guys with Wenger, he's been doing it for years. He's been doing the same thing for years, getting the best out of fairly average players. Say what you want about Koscielny, I still think he's an average player, but Wenger has made him a fantastic central defender. Aaron Ramsey, look what he's done for Aaron Ramsey. He kept the faith in him. The kid was injured, you know, had a lot of potential. He was raw, got that injury at Birmingham. Was it at Birmingham? No, it wasn't Birmingham.
Stoke.
It was at Stoke. Sorry, it was Shawcross, wasn't it? Yeah, that was Eduardo was at Birmingham. Sorry, he was at Stoke, but he kept faith in him. He nurtured him. He let him play a few reserve games, and bang, he's rewarded him. Still need to see more from Jack Wilshere, to be honest. But I think he's got personal issues personally. That's what I've heard anyway. Players like Nacho Monreal, you know, he was a fairly average defender at Malaga, but he's made him into top defender.
The last couple of years, he's been a revelation, Monreal.
Absolutely. You know, Hector Bellerin, where did he come from?
Yeah.
Where did he come from? So say what you want about Wenger. He's had a few misses, but every manager has. I mean, look, Capadiawara wasn't great, and, you know, but he brought in someone like Christopher Ray, and he won you the title. But then when you look at players like Alex Iwobi coming through, he brought El Neni, I think he's a fantastic footballer. Chuba Akpop, give him a chance, because I think he's going to be lethal, you know. So again, this whole thing about Wenger and his methods, yeah, he's incredibly frustrating. And yes, you want to win titles. Yes, you want to win cups. Yes, you want to win the Champions League. But you know what? He's doing what he can with what he's got, you know. Is he really one of these guys that doesn't want to spend money? Because he spent money. He's bought Sanchez. He's bought Ozil. He's broken club transfer records. He spent 20 odd million on Giroud, however much it was. So, in fact, you look at that squad. I mean, how many of those players hasn't he bought? You know, Debussy he bought, Mertesacker he bought, Gabriel he bought, Koscielny, Sanchez, Ozil, Ospina, Welbeck, Cazorla. He's bought these players, so he has spent money. You can't say he hasn't.
But that's, for me, that's where I guess if I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, because I agree with what you're saying. But if I'm to play devil's advocate here, I think where us as Arsenal fans have frustrations with Wenger is that, and I would include this not only in the transfer window, but I mean during games as well, is his dithering. He fucking dithers even during the fucking game. You know, sometimes when you can see something's going wrong, fix it. Like, it's kind of, this is why I compare it to Vince McMahon. You know, you're seeing fucking Roman Reigns getting booed week in, week out. What do? Oh, okay, I'll keep this motherfucker a face. And that is exactly what fucking Wenger does with the Arsenal team. It's like you'll see.
But that's old age. Have you got any old uncles and grandparents that are just?
That's what I'm saying. Oh my gosh, I did a video very recently where I said he reminds me of like an uncle that I have, where you know you love him, but you wish sometimes he'd fuck off and sit down.
The door is red. He's telling you it's blue, but you know it's red. It's right in front of you. You're not colorblind, but he's saying it's blue. And regardless of whether you put mirrors in front of the doors, whatever, it's still going to be blue in his eyes. Yeah, I get it. But whose fault is that again? It stems from the top. It's the owners. It's the people that are in charge of the club. If they had any balls, they would turn around and say, "Look, Arsene, thank you very much. You know, come and have a seat on the board. You know, be an ambassador, do something for the club in a different capacity. But you know, thanks for everything you've done. But you know what? It's time to change things." And I can see why you guys are frustrated, because you're looking at other clubs and they're changing their styles of play and they're changing their methods and whatnot. And you guys are still kind of like stagnating.
Yes.
But again, don't take it out on Wenger, because Wenger is only doing what he can. You know.
Oh, I think the board has plenty to ask for.
Yeah, but you know what? I see these Wenger outside. Listen, DT's a good guy, man. I've got no problem with DT. But, you know, when you see these fans saying, "Oh, Wenger out," well, you know what? Don't aim it at Wenger. He's only doing what he can. You know, he's dealing. You know, he's building something on the tools that he's still. And let's be 100% honest. And I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I've spoken to people abroad that are big Premier League followers. And even they say Wenger's built the Emirates with his bare hands. You know, he's done it. You know, this stadium that you have and the infrastructure that you have and you know, the success that you had over the years is because of him, you know. And here's the other thing that kind of grates me about Arsenal fans. They see United and all these other teams buying these big name players and they kind of expect the same. Fine, understand, cool. But let's not forget, players like Henry, players like Petit, players like Overmars, players like Bergkamp, players like Ljungberg, right, all became great because of Wenger.
Yeah.
Because it was his tactics, it was his system, because of his man management that made them the players that they became, right? Thierry Henry was standing on the left wing at Juventus, you know, scratching his ass like Jurgen Love, right? Hardly getting any games. Made him a fantastic player, you know. Mark Overmars was that raw talent at Ajax, and yeah, he signed him at 25 and he won the Champions League with Ajax, but he wasn't going to that next level. He was stagnating. Wenger brought him in, he made him a world beater. Robert Pires, half decent player at Metz, half decent player at Marseille, turned him to one of the best in the league. Freddie Ljungberg, no one knew who Freddie Ljungberg was. Man's making diagonal runs and he's scoring goals, and you're singing songs about his red hair. You know, Lauren was he a central midfielder at Malaga, and he made him a right back. Kolo Touré was a right back. He made him a central defender, made him one of the best in the country. You know, he took a gamble on Sol Campbell. Right? Sol Campbell was a free agent. He broke the club's wage structure to bring in Sol Campbell because of a big wage. He brought him from Spurs, knowing full well that the stick that the guy was going to get, but he knew that he could psychologically improve him. And he made him, again, the top player in the league. You know, he got the best out of that aging back four of yours, right? He replaced David Seaman with Jens Lehmann, which was a masterclass. So,
but the thing is, I don't think anyone necessarily doubts those things. But I guess And as brutal as it sounds, sometimes all good things come to an end.
Yes, and I agree. But when you look at what he's doing now, he's brought in Granit Xhaka, who's a fantastic central midfielder. Mesut Ozil's there. Alexis Sanchez is there. Look, I can understand your frustration. I can understand why you guys are angry and you want to be. And when you see teams like Leicester winning the league, you're thinking, fucking hell, what's going on with this guy? But you know what? Yes, he should go. Yes, he should step aside. But it's not the guy's fault that he isn't, because you got people there that are saying to him, come on, Arsene, give us one more year, do this, do that.
I agree.
Don't aim it all at Wenger. Aim it at the fucking board. Aim it at them.
Yeah.
Aim it at them. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think you lot generated something like 50-odd million quid. Sorry, no, hang on, what was it? It was about 400 million in your first year at the Emirates. That's how much you generated for match day revenue. I mean, it's ridiculous.
We do generate dumb money.
Well, there you go.
The other thing is where does that fucking go? Because we sure as hell don't see it.
Well, again, why are you asking Wenger? You should be asking your board. Wenger comes out every press conference, and you got the media saying, "Oh, what about this?" And he's like, "Well, he's defending himself, like he's the one that's in the firing line." In fact, when you see in films where there's a shooting scene and there's a guy that picks up a dead body and uses it as a shield, well, Wenger is that dead body, right? And Gazidis is hiding behind him, and that fella Conky, Silent Stan, is hiding behind him somewhere, and that Sir Chips Keswick is somewhere along there. So,
I mean, Gazidis is a fucking coward. I can't stand him.
He's a little rat, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I mean, the man is a fucking yes man. He's a coward. I don't know how he's in his position that he's in. And that's for Silent Stan. Oh, fuck. I don't even know what to say about him.
Yeah, but what about Keswick? What about Keswick? He's a merchant banker, isn't he?
Again, Keswick is just the spokesman for the American. That's all he is.
Mm.
Just a loudmouth. An old man that likes talking shit about Arsenal fans. That's all Keswick is. And don't get me wrong, every single one of those board members has something to answer for. But I think because Wenger, and probably rightly so, because I guess in saying that, I have an answer to my own question. But I guess from Wenger's, I guess where the frustration is channeled towards Wenger is he's essentially becomes the face of that situation. Instead of coming out and just saying, I don't have money. But every single year we're told, but this motherfucker has unlimited funds. Okay, so why the fuck are you not spending it? For him to go into last season, and this is where he lost me, for him to go into last season and not spend one single penny on an outfield player. Barcelona were fucking banned, and they still bought an outfield player last summer. We were the only team. And it just makes you think, well, sorry, why did you not improve this team?
Yeah, but it's like what I said earlier on. It's like you guys have been crying out for a goalkeeper, and you've got your goalkeeper. So he's probably sitting there thinking, well, look, you know what? You lot wanted the central midfielder, I've got you a central midfielder. You lot wanted an attacking midfielder, I've got you one. What more do you want? He's probably thinking. You brought in Petr Cech, which is about 4 years too late, So, look, he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't at the end of the day. Like I said, he just needs to step aside and let someone else take the reins. The problem is, just be careful what you wish for, because let's be 100% honest. Who is out there that's available that could get the job? I mean, I thought that Ronald Koeman would be the perfect man, but he's just got the Everton job, and I don't think he'll be leaving anytime soon.
See, for me, Koeman would have been my first choice. But now that he's got the Everton job, my second choice is Simeone. Because, all right, we would have to give up our style of football. If we're winning shit, I couldn't give two fucks. As long as we're winning shit, and he's proven. He's not like, I know people are saying, oh, but look at Man United's situation, and what if it happens to Arsenal? There's a massive fucking difference between David Moyes and Diego Simeone. I'm sorry. There's a massive difference. So I think there's only so long you can let that a Man United experience cloud our decision making, and that's what I don't like. I just would rather we did it and make the decision and said to Wenger, all right, look, You can either go upstairs, step aside, do what you have to do. This is your last season. You know, Wenger shouldn't have to keep us waiting while he's deciding whether it should be his last season. We should be saying to him, all right, look, this is your last season. We'll back you to the fullest. We'll give you any amount of money that you need. You tell us who you want. Don't even worry about the rest. Don't worry about, we're spending too much on the player. That's our concern. You tell us who you want and we'll go and get him. And that's where our frustration comes into play.
Okay. But can you see the board turning around and saying to him, you can have all the money you want?
No.
Right.
But they like his accountant ways.
So exactly, you're going around in circles here. I've had the same conversation with a Arsenal supporting friend of mine who said, why don't we go for Simeone? I'm like, okay, fine. Let's say you get Simeone, right? And the first thing he does, he says, okay, I want Antoine Griezmann. His buyout is 70 million quid. Are Arsenal going to give 70 million quid for Antoine Griezmann? Or are they going to say, well, 70 million quid, he's done it at the Euros, but missed the penalty in the Champions League final. I don't know. He played for Sociedad, didn't he? So he's got a bit of political unrest there, being Basque and all that kind of stuff. They think of little excuses. We need to break our wage structure for him, and he's got hair like Eminem. And it's just stupid stuff like they're gonna. So you got to understand that whoever you bring in has got to be a manager that's happy to work with a shoestring budget or with a board that's not willing to spend as much. As I said before, this transfer window is pivotal, or it's important because, as I said, the Premier League money is coming, the TV money is coming. Right, so you will get a rough idea as to where Arsenal are going to be going transfer-wise. I mean, they spent, how much was it on Xhaka? 30 odd?
30 million, yeah.
Right, so he's going to spend money, right? He's proven that he's spent money already. Maybe there's a chance that he knows who he wants, but because obviously with all these nations knowing that there's a lot of money involved in the Premier League, that they're going to be hiking up their prices.
Yeah.
You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's how I see it. But again, I still honestly believe he should just step aside and say, I'll be at board level. Give him one more year, give him his contract so it runs down, and then who knows? You might get your Simeones, you might get your Klinsmans, you might even get, I don't know.
What would you
Neil
say?
Warnock.
Oh gosh, what would you say is your predictions for the season? Then, do you see another Leicester?
Blimey! Do you know what this is going to be the most unpredictable season, and I'll tell you why. There are 4 Champions League places up for grabs. Look at the managers that we have. We have Wenger, Ranieri, Pochettino, Conte, Klopp, Mourinho, Guardiola, Koeman.
Yeah.
That's 8 managers, and only 4 of them are going to be playing Champions League football next season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is going to be intense. Now, the teams that I feel are going to have an advantage are the teams that aren't in Europe. That's the first thing. So Liverpool are already at an advantage because they don't have Champions League football, they don't have Europa League football. However, they're still rebuilding. So then what? Then you look at United, who are in Europa League. Now, I know full well that Mourinho isn't going to play a full-strength team every game because we're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday, right? So I think we'll be there or thereabouts. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but it wouldn't surprise me because of who we got in charge, because of what he can bring in terms of, as I said, charismatic approach and the winning formula. Let's not forget, Jose Mourinho, he's got the knowledge, as the Black Cabs call it, knowledge. They know the roads. He knows the roads. He knows the route. He's been there. He's done it. Apart from Wenger and Ranieri, who else has won it in the Premier League? No one. So he's got the advantage straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that. I think if I'm being honest, depending on what Arsenal do, I see it being between City and you guys, in all honesty.
But why City though? Why is it because of Guardiola?
Yes, very simply, yes. I think he may have a Ferguson-like effect on them.
Yeah.
Where
Maybe, I think he's a fucking fraud. But anyway, go on, carry on.
I think he may have a Ferguson-like effect on them where he's able. I mean, to be honest with you, I've had my suspicions that he's not as good as people make out. However, I guess this season will prove it once and for all. Because I don't think, like you say, that City team is not as good as the Bayern Munich team he took over. It's not as good as the Barcelona team he had. So we will really find out how good Pep is.
Let me tell you something about Man City. As much as I despise them, I admire what they are doing in terms of an infrastructure system. They've got the best training facility in Europe, hands down. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. What they're doing for the community is outstanding. You cannot knock them for that. They've got hundreds of kids in their youth system, local kids at that. They're doing their bit for the community. They're giving free tickets for games. They're doing what they can, and that's the royal family. They're very clever because they're doing exactly what they did in Abu Dhabi. What it is, they're trying to leave a legacy, because that's what they do. They're pumping their money. They're giving back to the community. Fine, cool. Now back to Guardiola, right? And I'll say this, I'm blue in the face. Yes, he did a remarkable job at Barcelona. Yes, he dominated the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. Yes, he's revolutionized football in different aspects and whatnot, and players have been waxing lyrical about him. But let's be honest, if I've got Lionel Messi in my team, if I've got Xavi and Iniesta and Busquets, and who did they have? They had Ronaldinho at the time. They had all these players, David Villa. I would win everything. Because all I need to do is get on side with them, and they'll do all their jobs. They'll do their jobs. Look at Luis Enrique. He fell out with Messi in the first 6 months, did nothing. Made up with him, they won the treble.
It does help.
It is that simple. And that's not me being ignorant about it. It's just that simple. And again, it goes back to Chelsea. Why didn't they play well for Mourinho? Well, because he fell out with them. Players down tools, and that's how it goes. Look at Mancini. Look at Pellegrini. Players down tools. They don't want to play for him anymore. So what they do? I don't want to play. I'll lose 2-0 away to Coventry City in the League Cup, and you get your sack. It's stupidness like that. Guardiola will have the players on the side, but then when you look at the bigger picture, Joe Hart, is he good enough these days? Is he good enough anymore? I don't think so. Mangala, is he good enough? No. Sanya's another year older. Clichy's another year older. Aguero, as fantastic a striker as he's been, he's getting injuries now.
Yeah.
It's at the stage of his career where he's picking up injuries left, right, and centre. Yaya Toure wants out. He's been their best player for the past 5 years. David Silva, again, picking up little niggles here and there. Again, I mentioned Gundogan earlier. Good player, but he was out for 14 months with a spinal injury, and now you're moving to the Premier League. I don't know, man.
Are you not shocked that City are not going balls out for Pogba? Because he looks like a ready-made replacement for Torre.
Do you know what? I am and I'm not. They're not stupid. They're not going to go for a player knowing full that he probably won't go to them. And I'm not saying that, Pogba wouldn't look at City, because he would. But let's be honest, he played at Man United for a couple of years. He's good mates with Jesse Lingard. Why would he want to go to Man City when he knows that Mourinho's there, when he knows that, United are rebuilding, and they're going to build the team around him as well. He's going to be their main man, whereas at City, I don't know.
No, I hear you. It does feel like it's as good. I mean, they have a lot of good things, but in terms of their manager and their team, who knows how long he plans to stay at the club. Whereas with Jose, you get this feeling that because he's at his dream club, that he's really going to try and make this a long stay for himself, really, because he loves the Premier League. Now he's at his dream club, so now he can move forward and attempt to win some stuff for United. Because I'll be honest, if Wenger could just get himself sorted out, I miss the United and Arsenal type of rivalries. I really do, especially when that game really meant something and there was really something on the line.
Absolutely.
So I can't wait for that. But I mean, thanks for coming on, mate.
No, man, it's a pleasure.
Been good to have a real good chat with you and just change up the dynamic of this thing every now and again that I do. But do your plugs, your shout outs, anything that you want to do, by all means.
I just plug my show, I guess. Shoot the Defense. We record every Tuesday and sometimes every other day if I've got an interview lined up. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we are on the FNX network in Australia. Visit shootthedefense.com. All our shows are there. I don't really know what else to say. Yeah, we're on Twitter at Shoot the Defense. I'm on Twitter at On A Madness. So if you disagree or agree with anything I've said here, feel free to give me dog's abuse, but I will fight back. And I'm quite.
In that case, I apologise now in case any Arsenal fans do.
No, man, listen. At the end of the day, everyone's entitled to an opinion. That's what football's about. Do you know what I mean?
We are a vocal bunch. We are a vocal.
No. Listen, but everyone is. You know, listen. You guys have got some retarded fans, and so do we. I mean, you know, like the amount of you. I've had arguments with United fans with how stupid and asinine their comments have been. You know, I mean, one guy today he was tweeting about Kante, and I'm like, United are playing in a friendly against Wigan in Mourinho's first game, and you're trying to study the game or how they're doing, and you're seeing a tweet like this. You're like, what has this got to do with anything? Why are you even bothered about what other teams do? It's like it pisses me off. I mean, I used to have a season ticket at United, right? I gave it up when the Glazers took over. Well, in fact, I gave it up 5 years after they took over, but that's by the by. And I don't miss going back to Old Trafford because you got a whole bunch of fucking dickheads that turn up who know nothing about the game. You know, listen, it breaks my heart. In fact, it broke my heart when I went to, it was Leeds United in the FA Cup. We lost 1-0 that game, but the atmosphere, Leeds United are one of our deadliest rivals, right? And I've spoken to this about with Andy Cousins, who used to play for Leeds. He was in the Leeds team that beat United's class of 92 in the FA Youth Cup final. He used to play with Cantona and whatnot. So we've had this discussion before, and I said, United against Leeds was one of the most hostile games I remember going. I remember going to Ellen Road and fearing for my life because they hate us and we hate them. But we played them in the cup, and the fans, our fans, didn't give a shit, man. You had maybe a handful of fans that knew what it meant, but the rest was like, oh, it's Leeds United, then they're a League One, a Championship team, and you know we'll bury them. That's not how it goes. This is Leeds United. You hate them. If Tottenham dropped to the conference, you would still have that rivalry. You would still hate each other. So what's the difference? You've got new fans that turn up and day trippers and tourists and everything that don't understand what it means, and that's what broke my heart. I was like, you know what, I can't go anymore. But you know what? I'm going to go to FC United next season. I've decided I'm going to go to FC United, the breakaway club, created by the fans who were against the Glazers. Have been around for 10 years now. They've got their own stadium now. They've got 12,000 all-seater stadium. They built their own stadium.
Are they in the conference yet?
No, they're like a Evo Stick North team, mate. They're not even conference.
Oh, okay.
They ground shared with Bury and had more fans going to their games than Bury did. Get that? Wow. So, and Rodri's a coach there, so I'm going to go and meet up with him and whatnot. So, listen, what was I even talking about? Yeah, so, like I said, I'm not one of these supporters where, you know, I will defend my club to the hill. I've been critical of United, and I'm not afraid to say it at the end of the day. And like I said, I've fallen out with United fans over it, but that's because there are people there that think that, you know, United shit rainbows, and that's not how it goes.
I hear you. I hear that for sure. I hear that. Oh, all right, man. Well, I guess I'm gonna wrap things up. Unless you have anything else you want to add or anything.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Yeah, you can tune into our show, man. They're usually up, available on Wednesdays. We're actually doing a campaign. It's called Girls in Sport Week. Yeah. It's not a new thing, but it's Girls in Sport Week, but actually lasts like 2 months or something. So this week we're focusing on women's soccer in the United States. So we've got a coach coming on to talk to us about the demographics out there, what makes them tick, because obviously it's an emerging sport still. But what I find intriguing about American soccer, and I call it American soccer now because that's what they call it, is how what they did, they basically started from scratch, right the way through down to grassroots level, and they're rebuilding and still rebuilding, and they've got a half decent national team, to be fair. So we're looking into that. We're going to be talking about women in football. We've got plenty of guests coming up. We've got plenty of guests lined up for the future. Been talking to Montreal Impact, who've been absolutely fantastic, allowing us to talk to Jack Stern, their goalkeeping coach, who was at West Brom for 5 years. We asked him if we could get Drogba on, but we need to go through his agent, which I've contacted. So let's see. It's a work in progress.
I'm still trying to listen through all your shows. So yeah, it's usually my go-to-work material. So,
Cheers.
I advise people who are listening to this, do listen to this. Good stuff.
I promise your listeners that I do not go off on a tangent like this on my show. I let my guests do the talking. I think you just give me a platform to.
Of course. Yeah. It's been nice for me not to rant, so that's
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, all right then, cool. In that case, I'll wrap things up. You guys, I'll stay tuned. I'll do some type of video sometime during later the week. Just keep an eye on my Twitter at Colossal Chig, and you guys will see when I put out some stuff. So me and Stel will leave you guys to it for now. Take care. Peace.